Professional brand building and content creation tip: minimize your negative expressions and maximize your positive expressions. So if you're connected to a bunch of people on LinkedIn, we want to be active on LinkedIn so that we can create inbound opportunities and professional brand awareness. But if they see that you're posting negative remarks on other people's posts, this will create a stigma and a negative association that can reduce your career performance. The same is true on the job as well. So Dr. John Gottman suggests that in interpersonal relationships, you maintain a 1-to-5 ratio of positive communication. I want to suggest the same is true for your public messaging as well. Alex Hormozy discusses a similar concept referring to a Disney study in this video, The Diary of a CEO. And I couldn't find the Disney study, but if I remember correctly, he says in their marketing department, they found 37 magical moments or positive experiences were required to compensate for a negative experience. Now, I want to, whether you go for 5-to-1 ratio or 40-for-1 ratio, the point remains that you should bias to the positive. And I want to suggest 3 tactics how you can implement this pretty easily. 1 is, if you can't think of anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. 2 is, if that feels inauthentic to you and you want to communicate a message, you can neutralize your negative sentiment by posing your comment as a question instead. So using curiosity and questions instead of like insults or like, I hate this or I disagree with this, you could say something like, I want to learn more, or is there any evidence around this? I'd love to read like a resource if you have one, etc. So reframing pushing back, reframing that into a neutral question instead of a negative comment. And the third tip is that you can stick with the ratio. So laterally, we recommend that you post daily on multiple channels. So you can do like 1 negative post a month if you want to. Or option 4, which I don't recommend, you can just be negative, but just know that you're going to negatively impact your career performance as well. So I don't actually recommend that. Something that you might not think is negative that other people might think is negative is back and forth conversations that can look like an argument. Even if you're asking like research oriented questions and you're having like a technical discussion, and we are particularly, we do this more than average as software engineers and data scientists. So if you look at the typical psychological profile in our industry, we are more antisocial than average. So we want to go the extra mile to be aware of this and to contain this. So you might think that you're having a technical back and forth, but other onlookers might view that as negative. So one thing that you can do here is a rule of thumb that my wife uses, and she works as a VP of HR, but she's passed on this tidbit, and I think it's really good. And that is, you can use one but sir. And that is like, you can politely push back one time, but if it goes back and forth from there, just exit the discussion is usually the best move. Otherwise, onlookers may create a negative association, basically. Hope this helps. Follow for more tips.